Here are some characteristics of some sample thermal power plants that you can find, and the source is from ETSAP. So here you have a coal-fired power plant which uses coal as the fuel and electricity as the output. You can see that a typical capital cost is $2,200 per kilowatt. You can also see that a capacity factor which would be appropriate is between 75 and 80%. And you can see also the efficiency of 46%, which would be your input and output activity. If we're looking at a natural gas-fired power plant, you have an open cycle one with a capital cost around $900 per kilowatt, a lifetime of 30 years, and an efficiency of around 35 to 42%. And the efficiency is again defined by the input and output activity in the technology. Here you can see an oil-fired power plant which is using heavy fuel oil, and the capital cost for that one is $1,490 per kilowatt. If you instead have a diesel-fired power plant that consumes diesel, and it's a diesel generator, you can see the capital cost is $780 per kilowatt. The efficiency is the same between both, 35%. Looking at the biomass-fired power plant, you can see a typical capital cost of $3,000 to $6,000 per kilowatt, and a total efficiency of around 40 to 85%. Now we will look at the transmission and distribution grid in OSeMOSYS. The transmission and distribution system is located after the central power plants in the reference energy system. The transmission system is for the high voltage lines over the long distance, and the distribution system is the final distribution to the consumer. To be able to model grid expansion in the model with different cost and efficiency, it can be good to model different technologies as seen in this reference energy system, where you have grid expansion and the current transmission and distribution system. The key model parameters for the transmission and distribution system is input activity ratio, which defines the rate of fuel consumed, in this case electricity. For a transmission system, this is recommended to set to 1. Output activity ratio defines the rate of fuel provided, also in this case electricity. The parameter is recommended to set the efficiency that is defined for the transmission lines, for example 95%. Capital cost defines the overnight investment cost for the network grid per power unit. Fixed cost defines the fixed operational maintenance cost per power unit and year. Variable cost defines the variable cost of the network grid per unit of energy transmitted. And finally, you have the operational life, which defines the lifetime of the technology. As mentioned in the previous slide, the transmission lines are usually defined as input activity ratio 1 and output activity ratio as the efficiency, meaning that for 1 unit electricity into the transmission network, you get an output of, for example, 95% due to energy losses.